On a cold November morning in Cedar Falls, Iowa, Emily Carter stood outside Thompson's pharmacy with her arms wrapped tightly around her 8-year-old son, Noah. He was pale, shivering, and trying to hide the wheezing in his chest so his mom wouldn't worry more than she already did. Emily brushed his blonde hair out of his face, her eyes red from a sleepless night. She clutched the doctor's prescription in one hand and her wallet in the other, almost empty, except for a few crumpled bills. Inside the pharmacy, warm light glowed against shelves of medicine and holiday decorations. The bell above the door chimed as Emily pushed it open. Behind the counter stood Mr. Daniel Reeves, a pharmacist in his late 40s, with gentle eyes and a tired smile, the kind of man who looked like he'd seen many stories walk through his doors but never stopped caring. Emily slid the prescription across the counter. "It's for Noah," she whispered, voice trembling. "The doctor said he needs it immediately." Daniel typed into the computer, and as the price flashed across the screen, something in Emily's shoulders collapsed. She tried to smile but failed. Is there a cheaper option?" she asked, already knowing the answer. The medicine was nearly $280, even after insurance. The last time she paid rent, she had barely scraped by. Since her husband had left 2 years earlier, life had been a constant series of impossible decisions: groceries or gas, bills or clothes, medicine or dinner. Daniel's heart tightened. He could see Noah struggling to breathe. This wasn't a "when you can afford it" situation. This was today or else. He hesitated, then leaned forward. "How much do you have?" he asked softly. Emily opened her wallet, cheeks burning with shame. $51. I know it's nowhere near enough." Her voice broke. "I don't know what else to do." Noah looked up at the pharmacist, eyes full of trust. "Mom tries really hard," he said, almost apologizing. "She always does." Daniel swallowed. "Give me a moment." He walked to the back room, closing the door behind him. He stood there, pressing both hands against the counter, staring at the medicine bottle. Company policy was strict. The register logged everything. Giving away medicine could cost him his job. But as he imagined Noah lying in a hospital bed, or worse, the decision stopped feeling like a choice at all. Finally, he returned to the counter. Emily wiped her eyes, preparing for the worst. Daniel slid a small bag across to her. "Here you go." She blinked. "But, we haven't paid." Daniel glanced around the empty store, then leaned close. "You have," he said quietly. $51 is the exact amount today." Emily stared, speechless. She knew that wasn't the real price. She also knew what he had done. "Why?" she managed to whisper. "Because," Daniel said, "no child should go without medicine because of money. And no mother should have to choose between saving her child's life and paying the rent." Tears streamed down her face as she mouthed the words, "Thank you," over and over. Noah hugged the pharmacist tightly around the waist. Daniel froze for a second, surprised, then placed a warm hand on the boy's back. "Get him home," he said gently. "Start the treatment tonight." Emily left with the medicine and a heart full of gratitude she could never repay. That night, Noah's breathing steadied. Color returned to his cheeks. He joked again, laughed again, little things she'd missed more than she realized. Days turned into weeks. Christmas lights went up across town, snow began to fall, and life slowly stabilized. Emily picked up extra shifts at the diner, determined to get back on her feet. One afternoon, she walked into the pharmacy again, this time with a small box wrapped in blue paper. She placed it on the counter in front of Daniel. "What's this?" he asked. "A thank you," she said. "It's not much, but—" Daniel shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." "I know," she replied. "That's why it means everything." Inside the box was a simple framed drawing done by Noah, a stick-figure pharmacist with a cape, standing next to a smiling boy. Above them, messy crayon letters read, "My hero." Daniel's eyes glistened. He cleared his throat. "Tell Noah, this is going on my wall." Years later, long after Noah outgrew his childhood asthma and grew into a young man, he would still tell the story of the pharmacist who saved him. And Daniel, he never spoke much about what he'd done. He didn't need to. The people whose lives he touched remembered for him. And in a world where kindness often feels rare, this story reminds us that heroes don't always wear uniforms or capes. Sometimes, they stand behind a counter, make a choice, and change a life forever.